fight or flight response in their nervous system for most of their life. So I know I can connect with that I was making money because I need money to survive. I need money to live. I need to support. I need to keep my household. I need to blah, blah, blah. Pay off my debt, whatever it was. I need to grow my business, whatever it is. And for constantly in that space and that energy, it's a very masculine energy, which inevitably causes a lot of burnout if that's the only energy we're using to propel us forward. So I think for me, I went really hardcore into the feminine energy because I needed to, in order to like repattern and like calm my nervous system, because it was like everything was triggering me in my nervous system. And as we know, it's so bad when we're constantly in this fight or flight response because of cortisol, inflammation. That's how disease happens. And if I'm going to be helping people heal, I have to be a pretty good vessel for that, right? We have to be a good vessel for energy to come through ourselves in order to serve our clients to that extent. And of course, the amount of magic it does in your own life is immeasurable. The amount of manifestation I've been able to do since doing that is insane. I can give you an example. So a year ago, I wanted to go to Mexico. I've always wanted to go. It was like a thing. I just never got the opportunity. Like nobody ever went. Traveling alone was kind of like weird to me at the time, especially international travel. I did go to Mexico briefly on a cruise and I'm like, maybe that's enough. No, it wasn't enough. So I'm like, okay, I need to go back. I really want to go back. I see it. I keep seeing it. And so I was like, last year in April, I was like, who wants to go to Mexico? Anybody want to go with? Nobody wanted to go with. Nobody could go with me. So I said, okay, I won't go. Go to Thailand. 2 days into staying with the woman I met up with in Thailand, she says, do you want to do a retreat in Mexico? And I'm like, yeah, been wanting to go to Mexico for a long time. She's like, great. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, how can I go to this retreat, not work, just be myself, not pay to go there? How can I, and I manifested all those things. I stayed in like a 5-star resort, was there just being myself. She didn't ask me to even do anything. I ended up doing things because I wanted to. My room and my meals were covered. I'm like, oh, this is how manifestation gets to work now. Like now I can literally just think something and it happens. That's cool. I didn't communicate this to her. I wasn't like sitting there like, I really want to go to Mexico and I really want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. Make it happen. It was not the conversation. It was all just effortless manifestation. So all that to say, there's something really powerful about manifesting in the feminine. And I think that we are very scared to let go of the masculine because that's the only way we know how to survive. We don't know a different way of being. Especially in the generations we grew up in, women, in my generation, it was expected to go to college at that point. It was expected you have a job at that point. And so it's like, to not work, to like even rely on other people's generosity or rely on other people's, or my savings, or to rely on my parents for things or whatever that is, it was very uncomfortable. But that is feminine. The feminine is the receiver. And I think that oftentimes we don't value the feminine because we see the feminine as weak or lazy or even materialistic or very like not powerful. And so, but it's quite the opposite. It's extremely powerful. It can be materialistic on its shadow side because everything about the feminine is a distortion, but it's supposed to be that way. That is the way it is. And so it's finding that sweet divine feminine spot of flow with creativity, with allowing and feeling worthy to receive. Because I'll tell you, when I showed up to Mexico and I saw my room and I saw the 3 meal a day gourmet meals I was getting that I wasn't paying for, I almost had like a panic attack. I was almost like, well, I didn't do enough to deserve this. Why do I deserve this? And I had to like really think like, oh, it's my worthiness coming up of receiving. I wasn't even ready a year ago to receive something like that to that extent. And I wasn't aware because I would have told you, like, if you had verbally asked me, like, do you feel ready to receive a retreat where you don't pay for anything and you get to attend and you get to be amazing and go and have a great time? I would have said, yeah, like totally worthy of that. Yeah, totally. I had no idea how to show up and be like, I feel sick. I feel sick. Oh my gosh. because there's like this subconscious part of us that we can't address until it's triggered. It's kind of like people say, well, you have to be all healed before you enter a new relationship. If you're like in a divorce situation like me, but I'll tell you now, there's no way I could have healed at the rate I healed at if I'd stayed single, because there's no triggering happening, right? Maybe there's a few triggers happening of like the fear of being alone or the fear of not finding somebody or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, man, you heal so much faster when it's just put in front of you and you get to address it head on and be like, okay, how do I feel about this? So I think that, you know, we can talk about worthiness. We can say like, hey, I'm worthy of that. But until like it's in your reality, you get to check in and be like, oh, was I really feeling worthy of that? And so I think that's why the practices of the imagination are so powerful. If we can get close to experiencing that kind of experience that we truly want and really actually feeling into it, the good and the bad, like, you know, bad, meaning like the unworthiness, the pain it might cause, the discomfort it might cause to receive something that generous and that beautiful from somebody. I was even noticing when my friend was like high-fiving me yesterday at the gym, because I went for the first time since January because I'd been away. And she gave me a hug. I was like, wow, like even feeling that kind of love, part of me wants to like recoil, because I'm like, oh, am I worthy? And I know like my brain's like, yeah, you're worthy of that. You're an amazing person. But I'm telling you, the subconscious, this part of us that's like, there's still a part of us that's like, oh, I don't know. Like, do I deserve that? Like, am I really that lovable? Am I really that deserving of this affection, of this love? And I'm telling you, this week, it's been like totally in my field to work on this. And I know for a fact it's collectively happening for many of us, because I've been talking to other people who channel and they're all picking up on the same types of lessons in March and now in April. So if you're going through worthiness, maybe some beautiful things are happening in your life and you're like, how did I deserve this? Or maybe some things that you're waiting for some things to happen in your life. You're like, why is it not coming? You know, it's all there. We just really have to be able to like get ourselves into the frequency to receive it. And that frequency is all about tapping into love.
Yes, tapping into love. And I love that you said we can't address what is not triggered. Is that what you said?
Yeah, like it's really hard to heal things until it's in your right in front of you. And that's last night I picked up on that in a meditation. It's like everything in my life that has happened, even the harder things like divorce and leaving a healthcare job that I worked so hard for and paid so much money for. And, you know, all these things that were difficult, you know, leaving behind a home I had built, like all these things. They're all there to teach us. Like it's for us. We often think like these things happening to us, I manifested this crappy, terrible thing, but really on the broad scheme of things, and I know we hear this all the time, it's like, oh, it's happening for you. And it is. It's your tough month right now. If you're having a low month or whatever monetarily, your best month, this is all happening for you. And there's no like malice from the universe. There's no like, oh, I'm punishing you. There's no, this is what you deserve. This is literally for you. It all has a beautiful blessing, a beautiful lesson. Your soul wanted to experience this. And so I really go into like, you know, that is how our life is designed. And so when things happen to us, it's all to help us heal. It's all triggering us in the best of ways.
Yes. And I think that's what Ashley's story is about too, is that it was there to heal and up level, like she said. So I want to ask you a question about overcoming a fear of claiming that you're a psychic medium.
Oh yeah.
Because some people, you know, still are worried about using terminology or claiming and owning and stepping up to stand out and being bold like Ashley is. So what did you have to overcome to claim that you're a psychic medium?
Again, I think it just starts with taking the first step, which is announcing it to whoever you feel is the first audience
first, right?
What was that?
To ourselves first.
Yeah, to ourselves, to owning that power, to owning that it's also a responsibility. There's a lot of ethics that go into that as well. I always think of that for that saying, like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Mhm.
It's so true when you think of our manifestation gifts, when you think of our psychic and mediumship gifts. I would also say you can own it at any time. Maybe writing it in your journal a few times and then telling somebody you trust, or you can even message it to me and be like, in a message and be like, I'm a psychic medium. I'm practicing saying it to other psychic mediums, because the people who aren't going to judge you are other psychic mediums, right? So, or at least that's how I felt back then. It was like I first told like one of my teachers who was like teaching a manifestation course, and I was like, I think I'm a psychic medium. Do you think I'm a psychic medium? She's like, yeah, you're totally one. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'd started testing myself, and then I would start doing tiny readings for people. And then I just like all of a sudden, like the gifts go, and you're like, wow, I'm getting all this stuff. So yeah, I think owning it happens in stages, and we own it as we're able to really embrace it. I would say it's a constant work in progress. I think admitting you're a psychic medium to a friend or to even your Instagram is very different than being on TV and being a psychic medium, or being like writing a book and saying you're a psychic medium, or teaching people psychic mediumship gifts, right? So it's a level, new devil. But I would say we all start somewhere. And usually we start pretty small and just telling a few people.
Absolutely. So I'm asking the question, are there any other psychic mediums here, or if you have questions about how what psychic mediumship is, what mediumship is? I know that Kacy is well versed in that. We've done a reading together. We've done a co-reading. Just so even like, maybe you didn't realize like that you have these gifts, the intuition, the things coming to you. I want to empower others through spiritual empowerment. Carrie says, I am not, but would love to know how to connect to that part of me more.
Yeah.
That's what you do, right?
Yeah, that is what I do. Mm-hmm. That is part of what I do. I do many things, but yeah.
So how could you guide her, or what would be like a first step of that?
Yeah, I think it's really connecting. It's learning how to clear our mind, learning how to get out of your mind and drop in, dropping into your heart space, dropping into your intuition, learning to trust that side of yourself, learning to rely less up here, which is like the facts. It's our senses, it's our eyesight, it's our touch, it's our smell, it's our taste, it's our hearing. Learning to like understand that these are all coming in through the brain, and then learning how to drop into your heart and really feeling your sixth senses, right? And those are all like, again, like clairvoyance, so seeing pictures. We all have these gifts. We all have imaginations, and that's kind of where our psychic senses live. We can all imagine if somebody's describing their house to us, we start to get a picture in our head usually of what that house might look like. When we are reading a book, for example, we're often picturing like the characters' faces and where they are, and we're like having all this imagination. So really a psychic gift can pop in when we are not reading or listening to somebody's story, but we're just really sitting in silence, and we're just letting these messages come forward to us for us. Or if we have a person sitting in front of us that we're doing a reading for, and then these things start to come in, like these smells or colors or images or thoughts or words. And then we start to like, just listen. We're starting to listen to ourselves, to these, it's not always a spirit talking to me. It's often just my own body communicating to me. And then I'm relaying that to the person who's receiving the reading. I would say that that's how it gets started. And then once you make that commitment to your own development and then to yourself, then you get the next steps. Because honestly, if you feel called to it, if you feel called to learn it, it's probably because you've done it in a past life. It's probably because it is part of your soul purpose in this lifetime to work on these things. And it might just be for you, or it could just be like you are going to be like doing readings for people, or maybe you are going to just integrate it into your life in a way that is beautiful for you and just taps you into a totally new way of looking at how life works. So to go along with that, I am offering a free 3-day experience next week. I can drop the link. And then if you're curious of how to integrate some of these practices that I do as a psychic medium and as like a yogi, and to address like my own well-being and my own psychic and channeling, and also my physical routine I do to help with that, then I'm going to be teaching that in a free event. So I'll drop that link now in case some of you guys have to jump off early. But yeah, this is the stuff I'm really passionate about.
So thank you for sharing that. Do you believe that everyone has these psychic abilities?
Yes.
I do.
Yeah, it's part of being human. It's just that we aren't taught how to use it.
Correct. And so I would say if anyone's questioning that or embracing that or new to it, that I believe that we all need a spiritual guide, a spiritual teacher, just like we need a dentist or a doctor or an accountant or a bank account. It's like moving forward in this new paradigm, in this new world, we all need someone here to teach us and guide us. That's my opinion. That's my call to action. Like if you do not have a teacher, a mentor to enhance a lot of intuitions coming up, trust, right? Love, worthiness. It's so important. So you can go do your work in the world.
Yeah, it's like, it's amazing. It's just amazing what we can really learn and what comes through and what drops in. And when we raise our vibration, because you do have to raise your vibration over time to read for people. And so it's like this process that starts to take place in your body and in your world. And you start to wonder if you're going crazy, you know, that's part of it. There's a lot of fears around psychic mediumship that people have. So they're scared they're going to see ghosts, or they're scared that, you know, they're not going to be able to live a normal life. And these are all very normal fears. I would say that we all have to dismantle them and go through them. And that's why having a teacher is so powerful. I would say that it's the fears around it that make it more challenging than it actually is. I would say that, you know, the fears come from our parents, they come from religion sometimes, they come from movies and shows that we see ghosts are scary. And honestly, the spirit world's super benevolent and beautiful, and they just want to help us, I would say, most of the time. And so I feel like that we have, as long as you have, and then if you have guidance with it, that's even more powerful, because you're going to be using your gifts in a way that hopefully feel aligned with you, because there are things that we can do that are not aligned with us, with our gifts. So, I mean, yeah, I can go on and on about that, but I feel like that's enough.
Well, finding that alignment is very key to manifesting, to congruency. You know, did you have a big challenge through finding that congruency? What did that look like becoming in your becoming and your transition from maybe your past career, or even, I know that you're talking more and more about your divorce and
yeah, I feel that it's still happening. I'm still finding my alignment with my gifts. I still feel like there's a lot more that I have untapped. That was kind of the message I had today and yesterday, was like, oh yeah, there's a lot more that you're just not even aware you're capable of. Like it's almost like they won't show you all at once what you're totally capable of, because it's a lot that we're totally capable of.
It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop. And so I feel like every layer I get to discover and explore is a new adventure. You know, recently I'm looking at writing, I'm looking at exploring new ways to use my gifts to help people, besides coaching and besides courses. So I think that there's just so much we can do once we unlock the channel that we have. Our direct connection to God or source or universe it's like, it's our birthright. Like, as just as manifestation is our birthright, these gifts are our birthright as well. And so you get to be a 5th dimensional human walking a 3rd dimensional planet. And I think soon our planet's like evolving. I was just telling my mom before this call, I'm like, yeah, there's gonna be like 20 to 30 people on this call. I'm about to jump on because you're having dinner. I'm about to jump on. And I'm like, this just shows like how much our planet is changing at a very rapid rate. I think we're going to start seeing more of these, of people being waking up, of people like embracing all gifts that they have. And we get to choose, like, do I want to be a part of that or do I not? Do I want to live in this other reality where things are harder and things are like, you know, a little slower and things are like more effort, but I think that's the way it has to be? Or do I want to kind of move into this new dimension of ease, flow, love, light, some darkness too? We need darkness. There's always the dualities, but it's like we're moving into this new era. And I feel like it's happening right in front of my eyes. And I'm like, was it always happening and I just wasn't awake? Or is it really happening?
Well, it's happening more and more at an exponential rate. I mean, you're still way younger than me, and to see the changes over 4.5 decades has been transformational. But even moving forward, like what I think it was Catherine said, within the next like 200 years, we're not going to have jobs. We're just going to be here and say, this is my role and responsibility. And so many people are doing that right now. And that's why us as leaders are here, and everyone that showed up, you understand your responsibility. It's a social, spiritual, emotional responsibility as New World leaders to do this, right? To claim it, to step into it.
You get called. They call it the call.
Yes.
It's like I literally had a dream the other night, and then somebody was calling me on a phone, an old like rotary phone. And I pick up and I'm like, who is this in my dream? It's the commander. Who's the commander? Right? It's like we're being literally called, you know, to step up, to step forward, to lead, and to be and to show people how to do this and how to live their lives like this. And no matter where you are at in your journey, you can start at any time. You know, you can start on day 1 of your journey. You can start helping others who are on day 0. You can be on day, you know, whatever day you're on, Carrie, how many years has it been, right? You can help people on day 0 or all the way up to you or even past you in different ways, right? It's like, we're all here to help each other, and we all have beautiful gifts to share, and our gifts work together. They don't work like in silos. We're here to collaborate, and we're here to connect. We're not here to just be amazing all on our own. And like, I think that was the old paradigm, honestly. The old paradigm is like, oh, look at like Tony Robbins. Not anything wrong with Tony Robbins, but it's like, you know, we kind of saw him as a silo. And I think in the future, it's going to get away from like there being one figurehead, and it's going to become more of a collective healing kind of community that is transforming people.
Absolutely. I mean, we see that with, I think, everyone here. It's like, you know, some people would question, well, why do you want to have a bunch of the same type of people on in one event? But it's because we're all very unique and we're working as a web, right? We're working together. It's not just one person that's creating this web. It's that we're all interconnected. We have been for eons and eons, and now we're finally coming back to the old way.
It's like the social conditioning, especially in America, if you're American, and the way we've been programmed is very like competitive and very like him versus him. Like, look at our elections, look at everything, like companies, the way companies run. Oh, well, you can only have one president. And so it's like we are used to this idea of like competition, and we're used to this kind of idea that, oh, I have to be ahead, I have to be making more money or have more clients. And then it's like, I don't want these people to succeed. This is a very old paradigm. And it's like, we all are going to be rising together. So the more we can step into our gifts, the more we can step into our purpose and our passion and genius, the more that we are actually helping the collective. And then we need to allow people to help us in return. We can't just do it all on our own.
Yes, it's your analogy of being called up on the phone, right?
Well, it was like my dream.
Well,
it was like a dream.
Yes. So it's like we're all getting that phone call, and it's our choice with free will, nonetheless, whether we're going to pick up the call or have it go to voicemail, or, you know, or don't answer the call at all. And it's going to keep calling you, like the phone's going to keep ringing. So whether it be now or in the future, trust Trust that the call is calling you. And it all goes back, I think, to that worthiness to receive the call. You are worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely worthy.
And collaboration is, it's where it's at. So if anyone would love to collaborate, say me in the chat box if you have any questions for Kacy. I don't know if you want to, do any channeling, if you want to have a meditation, if what you're feeling right now.
I'm just reading the chat. Some of them are sharing some really nice things. So Carolyn said, I'm starting to embrace my gifts. I need to practice exploring them. Kacy has taught me in the past. Hi, Carolyn. I love you. Mary says, opened up this year and started a spiritual coaching business. I let go of fears and what others would think and just jumped. I love that.
Awesome.
Love that. Congratulations. Felicia says, I've been developing my ability to receive messages, tap into my intuition, and trusting what comes up and sharing it. I've had some incredible experiences. I read cards and sometimes can feel others' energy when I tap into it. I love that, Felicia. That's such a beautiful gift. Feeling into people's energy, the cards. I love cards as well. I have a ritual that I'll be teaching about pulling cards for yourself, and very energetic practices with some yoga poses. So I learned that in Thailand. I'm really excited to teach it for the first time because I'm a yoga teacher now. Woohoo! Charlene says, very interesting. I am intuitive, but not an intuitive. You got to explain that to me, Charlene. How does this? So you're not an intuitive. You don't identify as an intuitive, but you have intuition. Isn't that what an intuitive is? But it's words. It's all words.
Is this Charlene?
Charlene, sorry. Yeah.
Charlene, do you want to come up and claim your intuitiveness? Where's Charlene? Is she here still? Yeah, Charlene, do you want to come on camera? Well, yes. This is the best place to start, Charlene. She doesn't know.
She says she's had her Reiki level 11. It's been a while since she practiced. Well, Reiki is extremely intuitive. It's very energetic. But I also know that what I'm getting, Charlene, is like if you haven't had a teacher who showed you some of these psychic things, that you wouldn't feel confident. So maybe it's not I'm getting that it's not really, I feel like somebody told you something before that is just like kind of hindering. It's like created this limiting belief you have about being psychic or intuitive. So I'm just going to encourage you to look into that if you are curious as to why it's hard to claim that. And then Carrie says, thank you. We'll try to make the event. I'd love to have you ladies. It'd be so much fun.
For says, Charlene, I was feeling like the sacral and the root, like, is it Catherine was talking about claiming that, and she gave us some exercises to do, and I'm just, the safety and security piece to it. Also, Reiki actually was my first step to realizing like how to share the intuitiveness. Because when I tapped into Reiki was when I was like, oh, this is what it means to share intuitive messages. And then that led to more of realizing going into other people's consciousness and then opening the global consciousness with the Akashic records.
Yeah, I just know that there's a very like interesting paradox in the communities, the energy spiritual communities, that there's a lot of teachers who act as if psychic and mediumship is a really difficult skill to attain. They act like you have to do so much yoga or you have to do so much of this or that or meditation or whatever to attain these gifts. And I'm definitely here to say that's not true. I'm definitely here to say that it's an old paradigm they're living in. That doesn't mean it wasn't true for them. I just really don't feel like it's true today. And I feel like the new generations are the children. I used to work with children, and I feel like the new generation is extremely sensitive and extremely psychic. And I feel like it's going to be even easier for them to tap into things than it was for older generations and for my generation. But I definitely feel like we're shifting out of this idea that it's like, oh, you have to be like enlightened almost to get like to tell the future. It's not true at all. It's just that we really haven't had people that we're willing to teach it. And I honestly think a lot of that's patriarchal. I think it's like disempowering women, that kind of stuff happening. And then we've kind of like unfortunately believed it for so long. So Diana says, I'm starting to appreciate the idea of channeling, but I have a religious background that is conflicting with this idea. I've been just deconstructing, but some of the threads are still there. Yeah. One thing, Diana, that I realize is a lot of priests and people, leaders in churches and in religions are channels. Like I've attended services. I have gone to different types of religious services, like across religions as well. And I've really realized that almost all of them are channeling spirit and divinity. And so once I realized that, I was like, oh, like that's what they're doing. So why is it evil or why is it bad? I don't know if they just don't know what it is. I really think that there's this like, because of the language that's used, they don't really understand what channeling is, or they believe in their religion that you have to go through what they went through. Again, this old paradigm of like, let's climb this ladder of spirituality. And it's like, you can go from like, you can have the Eckhart Tolle experience and wake up tomorrow almost an enlightened human. I mean, who's to say that there's this path that's for everybody? We can all have very unique individual paths, and we can all choose to open up our gifts at any time we want. Yeah, it's about, power and control. Carolyn's correct. I believe
it is about finding the unique path. That's why I named this Manifest Your Magic, Uncovering Your Unique Path to Prosperity as a spiritual entrepreneurship, because it is unique. And that's why I brought all the different speakers to share that everyone had a different path, yet it's all intertwined and unique and the same, but unique.
Yeah. It's all has the similar energies, but it's going to look different depending on what our unique souls needed to get to where we are. And, if you talk to me in 6 months, I'm probably going to look like a completely different person than I look right now. And that's the beauty of the journey, right? It's like, we're constantly evolving, you're basically just dedicating your life to evolving yourself as a soul. That's what the spiritual path is. However that looks for you, you're going to be evolving no matter if you choose it or not. So it's just like, I think it's just becoming aware, and that's when it gets to be fun.
It should be fun. It should be easy. It should be flow. It doesn't have to be hard, but sometimes it feels hard when you're up leveling.
Yeah, it can feel very painful. Yeah.
It's the ebb and flow of life. So questions for Kacy. Kacy, you can stick around and answer questions if you want a message. I know you work with guides. Kacy works with all the spiritual guides, can channel you messages. If she has time, you can raise your virtual hand, or you can just unmute. I will.
Yeah, I'd love to do. Yeah, if anybody wants a mini reading, I'm happy to serve.
So happy and grateful that I am here. Oh, that was Irene. Hello, Felicia. Did you have a question? You can unmute.
Yeah, I would love a mini reading.
Who is this? I'm just trying to see through all the sea of faces. Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia.
Awesome. I love the way you spell your name.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific questions?
I just love to see what you tap into.
I'm seeing light pink. I don't know if this has to do with a feminine heart or a child, but I did see like a little girl as well. I'm like something playful energy. I'm getting for chakras, I'm getting like some sacral chakra, some solar plexus chakra. But yeah, when I tap into you, Felicia, it's a very like a high vibration. Like I feel like you've been working on this, but your higher vibrations. I feel like also you've been working in the energy of gratitude. I don't know if that's the collective of this room today, because you guys have been listening to some really great things that encourage higher vibration and gratitude, but I'm feeling that into that. I am sensing like some tension in the neck. So I feel as if that could be, when I feel that, it can mean that there are some stressors happening, like something like just be aware of like holding tension in it was like right where my neck meets my skull. And so if you feel like there's tightness or even pain or just something going on, it might be where you're holding some stress. I sense you have some family members who've passed over, like grandparents. Is that correct? Felicia?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, like a grandfather and a grandmother, like two.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're